Hey guys, this is Courtney from Willow's Bloom, and today we're going to be talking about the Virgo full moon, which is happening on February 27th at 8 degrees of Virgo. And the influence of this full moon is going to be felt until around March 10th, when the next moon is going to take place. So I'm going to break down what this moon means, like the larger context of it, and then I'm going to start talking about it for each individual zodiac sign. And I specifically like to do it for rising signs, and you can find that in the description box below. But I highly encourage you to listen to the intro because it's going to give you guys a lot more context about what you can expect. So let's talk about what a full moon is and then what a Virgo full moon is. So a full moon is a time of culmination. It's when things come to a head, when we can tend to reap the harvest or at least look at how far we have left to go. And specifically with Virgo, I was meditating on the energy, and the first word that came to mind was service, because really what Virgos are all about is being of service to other people. And so I feel like this moon is going to give us the opportunity to be more of service in our life. And I feel like this full moon is also going to be in service of ourselves and our evolvement and personal development. So let's break down the different aspects of the moon to see how this is going to be in service of us and help us. So first of all, I want to talk about something that's kind of happening in the backdrop, but is also being influenced with this moon. So Saturn has been making a really tight square to Uranus for the last few days. And this is really asking us to make some long overdue changes to our lives. And we can already see this coming into play on the collective scale because Uranus rules over electricity, and it also is currently moving through Taurus, which is really related to like land and the food supply chain. And so we've already started to see that there have been some food shortages because of COVID, and I do suspect that that's going to continue as Saturn continues to make squares to Uranus throughout this year. And we've also seen the power supply, the power grid in Texas obviously has been, down and presenting a lot of issues for the people there. And because Uranus rules electricity, Saturn is then going ahead and restricting or making it smaller in a sense. So it's like diminishing the food supply chain, is diminishing our electricity and our power. And it is possible that this could happen on a larger scale. Hopefully that's not the case, but we can kind of see this on a collective level. But internally, Uranus, I feel like when we think about electricity, Uranus is kind of like our own internal electricity, our own light, the part of us that wants to kind of like break the mold and break through and make really big changes to our lives. It's kind of like that shocking power. And Saturn making a square to it is, in my opinion, putting more stress and more pressure onto this aspect, making us more aware of where we need to create change, because a square inherently is a change making aspect. It's one that requires a resolution. It requires our effort. And Saturn also represents really old habits, things that we've kind of been carrying over just because of habit, because of time, because of tradition, and just the way it's always been. And so I feel like Uranus is this more progressive energy, the electric energy that wants to break free. These energies combining are basically saying that it's time to finally overhaul some of the more stagnant areas of our life, some of the areas of our life where we're experiencing a lot of those old habits that are really dragging us down and not helping our evolution. And as I said, the full moon in Virgo is really being of service to us and helping us be more in service to society. So just think about ways in which you really need help to break free from these old patterns and old habits and old thoughts. And then think about how you can then evolve in a way that's actually going to really help humanity and really help the world. If you were unencumbered, if you were uninhibited, what could you really achieve? What could you really do for other people? And I feel like that's what this Virgo new moon or full moon is really coming in and saying for us is that we're being energetically supported at this time through the universe so that we can be more of service. So we have Venus within 6 degrees of the sun in Pisces during this full moon. So This is a pretty loose orb, meaning that it's going to have less of an influence, but I wanted to mention it because it is there and it is a really positive aspect. So Venus will always give us blessings. So the fact that it's aligning with the moon, I feel like it's asking us to cultivate a greater sense of compassion for ourselves and moving through this process, because we can really only create change when we've begun to heal the parts of ourselves and send love and compassion to the parts of ourselves that we've been holding on to that are keeping us small. And so this is a time with Venus coming in here to start to show that love and compassion to ourselves, to heal those sides of ourselves, especially because it's in Pisces, with the sun in Pisces. It's basically allowing us to let go of those things from a very loving place, because I think Saturn can kind of bring the energy of like, I need this gone and I'm going to beat myself up into making this change. And I think that Venus being somewhat near the sun is kind of giving us a softer cushion and saying, the only way to real lasting change is through healing, is through love. And so it's giving us an opportunity to do that. So this moon is also making a quincunx to Saturn. So a quincunx is an inherently challenging angle that oftentimes basically is going to make us like question or challenge our resources and our resourcefulness. And it's going to ask us to be letting go of the past, but yet the quincunx energy makes it a struggle. It makes it feel like we can't fully let go of the past. And so it's going to be up to us to find new and innovative ways to move forward. A quincunx basically represents two planets in signs that have no alikeness. And this is not even in traditional astrology, they don't even consider this an aspect. So it's more like a modern take on things. But if you can imagine two of your parents or two of your family members who just have nothing in common, that is like the quincunx. And it's up to us to somehow reconcile these energies, to somehow find a new and creative and innovative solution to problems that we've been having. And problems that we've been having is things from the past that we need to let go of. So how do we break these old habits? By finding new and creative solutions. So for example, recently, I have been trying to stop smoking. And so what I've been doing is I bought this new box where you can literally set a timer on it and like put stuff inside, and it will only unlock when the timer is done. And so I've been doing that now to keep myself from smoking during the week. So it's things like this that are going to help us kind of shake off this old energy that we've been living in. So just try to think of, okay, what are some things that I keep having the same issues with, and how can I find a new and different and creative solution that will actually lead to a change this time, that will actually allow me to let go of this past behavior and past habits. And because the moon is making a trine to Uranus, it is giving us the opportunity to do this. So once we apply that creativity, those internal shifts are going to be a lot easier to make right now. Essentially, the universe is supporting us in this change because Uranus wants a change. It wants things to be different, and it wants us to progress. And if we keep kind of retracking this same 10 feet that we've been living in and moving in circles, we're never going to really reach the point where we can be fully of service, which is what this moon is about. And so yeah, I'm really excited that the moon is making a trine and the sun is making a sextile to Uranus, because that is really beautiful energy for potentialities and for actually making lasting change and for things being different this time. I know that it's really hard to believe in ourselves and believe that things can be different. And that's what the last Aquarius new moon was about 2 weeks ago. It's about believing that change is possible and that we can totally have a new beginning, even though the past has many, many examples of our mistakes, many examples of things not working out. That last Aquarius new moon was setting us up to have more faith and hope and realize that things actually are different this time. The energy has shifted so much and we are becoming different people, and the changes that we're trying to implement now can totally transform our lives even if we failed making those changes in the past. So I just wanted to use that as like a way to encourage you guys, because I know that it can get really daunting thinking ahead into the future and having hope, and then kind of contracting and saying, oh, I shouldn't hope about that because last time it didn't work out. So I just want you guys to actually hope, to actually believe in yourselves, believe that this change is possible, because the astrology is supporting it. It's really big, monumental energy that we haven't experienced in a long time. And so this energy is going to allow us to make and solidify real life changes that we've been trying to do. This moon is also making a quincunx to Chiron. So just like I was saying before, we need to make new creative changes to let go of the past and break old habits and patterns. It's the same for our healing. I think basically I feel like the only real way to make these changes is through healing. Chiron is involved all throughout this moon, and whenever Chiron is involved, it's basically saying that there's past life healing that is being done. So some of the patterns and the habits and the things that you have right now are a result of things from the past life, energy from your past life, or if you don't believe in past lives, from your childhood. Regardless, things deeply from the past that have been likely an almost unconscious wound, something that is very sensitive but maybe not fully explored. And I feel like with the moon making a quincunx to Chiron, it's asking us to really fully and deeply explore why we are hanging on to those patterns and start to get down to the root cause so that we can make progress within healing that. So kind of going back and looking at your parents and how they reacted, and if you've picked up some of these habits from them, or if you have an intuitive feeling, or if you've had a past life reading about what may have happened in your past lives, are you carrying over some of that residue, some of those emotions? And then is that causing you to kind of stifle yourself or keep yourself stuck based off of those past events? So it's an opportunity for us to fully heal and believe in a better future. Okay, so what is going on outside of the moon? I already mentioned Saturn square Uranus, which has been happening for a few days now, but we're also having Jupiter and Saturn conjunct Mercury. So this is really beautiful because when we had the Great Conjunction, which is Jupiter and Saturn combined, we have these two energies of restructuring society. One is the higher mind, the vision for the future, the optimistic side of ourselves that can truly see our life panning out in a really beautiful and powerful way. And then Saturn is that side of ourselves that knows what has to die off, that can kind of get down to the nitty-gritty details about what comes, what goes, and take that plan that Jupiter makes and put it into realistic action. And so when these planets are combined with Mercury, our planet of thinking and communication, it's basically giving us a chance to restructure our mindset. Because whenever we are breaking a habit, whenever we are breaking old ways of being and really outdated modes, of course it has to come from a place of love, healing, and compassion. But the only way to make it truly solidify besides healing is restructuring your mind. So instead of thinking the same way as before, you have to think differently about the things. That's really the only thing that is going to keep you on that path of not doing that thing or doing that thing, if it's adding a new thing in. And so I think it's going to be a really powerful time in order for your mind to kind of sync up with your actions. It's like everything has to be in line, the healing, the mindset, and the action. And then once all those things are working in tandem together, then you can see real lasting results. So this is a beautiful time to really choose your thoughts wisely, to choose the way that you want to perceive the world and to think about your future. It's a really great time for manifesting as well. So if you want to sit and do a future self visualization or do journaling exercises about your future self, that is really going to help solidify all the changes that you're trying to make. Okay, so we also have Mars making a trine with Pluto at this time. So this is a lot of intense energy. Whenever Mars and Pluto get together, it creates a lot of energy and ambition and drive and just intensity within us. So because Saturn is also making a square to Uranus, we already kind of have this like built up like electricity kind of waiting to burst out, and then Mars making a trine to Pluto is also giving it the more like long-term drive to actually see these things through. So I see that this trine is very positive because the trine is a positive aspect between planets. And so I feel like this is giving us the gumption to really stick to our resolve and yeah, to see things through. So if you feel like you have a kind of intense energy at this time, just be aware of where you're channeling that energy, because you can channel it into the negative things, but if you're conscious, the universe is supporting you right now. Like the universe has all the alignments happening for you to make this change. You have free will and you can choose what to do with it, but you are going to have the energy and you're going to have to decide yourself where you want to put that energy. And then lastly, Saturn is making a sextile to Chiron. So I feel like this is basically saying that as we begin to put more effort into making these changes, we will start to heal from the past. I do see it as a simultaneous thing. I don't think that the past needs to fully be healed before we can make the changes. I think that they will happen together. So I think it's important for us to look into the past, look into our childhood, past lives, whatever, and kind of get down to the root cause of why we lean on certain coping mechanisms or lean on certain habits or lean on certain people, or don't have a strong enough relationship with ourselves, whatever it is. And then yeah, as we begin to explore those things, we can shift our habits as well, and they will heal at the same time simultaneously, which means the same thing. All right, so that was pretty much it, and now I'm going to go over all of the rising signs. Okay, Aries Rising, what is up? This full moon in Virgo is happening in your 6th house, and I'm going to be pulling some cards for you guys to go along with the messages that I have. But the first thing I'm thinking of is definitely in line with is definitely in line with work and your place in the world. So I feel like, I do know a few Aries risings, so I absolutely have seen them really progress in their career. I believe you guys are the ones who've had Pluto moving through your 10th house of career. So you've been undergoing a lot of career transformation regardless, but I feel like this full moon is kind of like giving you the pat on the back and saying like, okay, yeah, 10th house, which is the career energy. Which is literally exactly what I'm talking about. And it's so interesting because I got 2 cards that say the world. So the card I just held up said the world, and this card as well. So I feel like you guys are really expanding right now, because when I think of the 6th house energy, it's really a lot of times it's about working for other people. So I feel like you guys are currently doing that. You guys are currently building up your career. You may have recently had some big career moves, some big jobs where you're working for other people. For example, an Aries rising that I know just got a job at SpaceX. Another Aries rising that I know just had a really big photography job. So I kind of feel like you guys are having things come to fruition in terms of your career. You're starting to get recognition. Things are starting to come around for you guys. I think you're going to be developing an even further sense of confidence in your work, because I pulled this card, and also because big themes for Aries revolve around confidence anyway. You guys tend to be confident, but of course it depends on your chart. So yeah, I feel like this is going to be a really beautiful opportunity for you guys to expand through your work and have a really good, basically, like whenever I see the world card, there's a shift in fate. There's a shift in fate for better luck. And so that's absolutely what I'm seeing for you. I think that you guys are going to have things start to come to fruition, and it's going to feel really good, and it's going to feel long overdue, because the Aries risings that I know have put in a ton of effort and a ton of work into what they do, and they absolutely deserve all the blessings that are coming their way. You guys also have Saturn in the 11th house. So I feel like there could be some changes and adjustments to your friendships. or even the way, or even like your physical resources, because you have Uranus in the second house. So having, basically the reason why I'm saying this is because Saturn is making a square to Uranus. So it's asking us to have some changes. So you could have recently maybe moved or bought a new car or bought a new house, or you have a desire to do those things. Maybe you haven't done them yet. But I definitely see whatever changes you're making to your physical resources, that's somehow going to affect your friendships and your community and your groups as well. So maybe you are like joining a new group and that's going to kind of support you financially or support your career. Of course, I don't really know how this is going to play out for each individual person, but there's definitely some shifts that's going to be happening in terms of your friendships and in terms of your resources and your money. And I feel like this could also be linked to your career because of the fact that this is happening during the full moon in your sixth house. So there can be like new friendships forming through your work, new networking connections, because the 11th house is a lot about networking. So this could be a really supportive energy that is going to ultimately give you more finances. That's what that could mean. You guys also have Chiron moving through the first house. So there's a deep healing that needs to come through your sense of self. I feel like this is a lot about exploring who you are, and I think that's probably why the confidence card came up. I just think generally whenever Chiron is transiting through the first house, it is a long sort of sporadic process of learning to understand who you are and learning to fully own and accept who you are in this world, regardless of how other people think and feel. And so I think it's going to be a big process of self-discovery. I mean, Chiron takes a long time to transit through the houses, so it's probably going to be there for many years to come, depending on your chart. But I absolutely feel like for you guys, it is giving you a chance to fully step into yourself. And I feel like that's why these career changes are happening, so that you can find your footing and your place in the world and fully like own yourself and like, this is me. And so you may be presented with opportunities around self-doubt or around healing, or basically I do feel like you guys could, as you're stepping up and like kind of going out into the world, you could be moving from like a big fish in a small pond to a small fish in a big pond. And so as you're being presented with new and more opportunities, and you're going to meet new people and have these new networking and career advances, I feel like you guys might have an opportunity to develop your confidence even more, because of the fact that you're going to be suddenly surrounded by all these people who are really good at what they do. Or maybe you're going to be given an opportunity that really pushes you and challenges you. And so it's going to give you that opportunity to develop your confidence. What's interesting is that I pulled the Fox card, and the Fox energy, I think a lot of people think of it as like being very sly, kind of like sneaky. They like to not really necessarily always be caught or be seen. And the energy that I get from this is actually just a lot of like cleverness, a lot of intelligence, and a lot of just innate wisdom that you have. And I feel like this is finally being recognized. I also think about the slyness or like the sneakiness in the fact that you can kind of like shift and adapt easily. So I do see this in terms of friendships. You're having the opportunity to present itself right now. The opportunity is presenting itself right now for possible adjustments in your friendship groups. So you might kind of be like, for some reason, I'm imagining like something like slipping through your fingers. Like I'm imagining you like kind of slipping between people and finding like new people and kind of exploring and seeing what makes you feel comfortable. The energy that I'm also picking up is a very like solitary energy as well. So you might be experiencing a little bit less socialization than normal as you are beginning to make these shifts and changes. So if that's the case, don't worry about it. Sometimes when you're stepping into like bigger and better energy and really challenging yourself, you're going to go through periods of social contraction when your career is expanding. So if that is the case, then don't be worried, because sometimes Saturn can bring contraction in our lives, and since it's in the 11th house of friendships, that's very possible. But because it's making a square to Uranus, I see this changing very quickly. I don't feel like this is going to be this heavy energy where you feel alone all year, but I absolutely feel like new people are going to start coming in because of Uranus. So that is all for Aries risings. If you guys liked this reading, please leave a comment down below letting me know if it resonated and give it a thumbs up. And if you guys want your own personal reading, you can check that out at willowsboom.com. Thanks, bye. Okay, up next we have Taurus rising. So for you guys, this full moon in Virgo is happening in your 5th house of love, of romance, of creativity. So the 5th house is generally a very positive house to have things happen in. And I'm going to be pulling some cards for you guys. Okay, you guys got the bee, animal spirit. So you guys could be very busy maybe creating something at this time, because the 5th house is the house of our creation. It's basically where we go and we externalize our energy into a physical thing, which could be a child or it could be a project or something. King of Wands. Okay. So a lot of creative energy. The wands are really representative of fire signs in astrology, and fire signs like Leo. So there's a lot of Leo energy coming up, are going to be really like stimulated. Like their creativity is basically going to be really prominent right now, which justice is coming. Interesting. And that's a number 27 on this card, which is how old I am. So if 27 is important to you, then it's there. And let me get one more card. Fire element desire. Okay, yeah, you guys, there's some serious fire coming through. I was literally just talking about this. So it's funny because the 5th house in modern astrology is linked to Leo. Traditional astrologers would disagree, but yeah, so I'm sensing a lot of creativity, a lot of you working on something and making something happen. And that makes a lot of sense because right now you have Saturn moving through your 10th house of career. So this full moon in Virgo is basically highlighting that whatever you're making is absolutely going to support you. So this justice is coming is basically saying that whatever you're working on, you are going to receive the benefits from it. It's not just going to be something that you're toiling away on and putting so much energy into, and then it doesn't amount to anything. This bee energy is saying that you absolutely must keep going, that you absolutely must not give up. Just give it everything that you have. And with Saturn moving through the 10th, it is challenging in the sense that it's saying you have to absolutely put in the work, but Saturn is a karmic planet that rewards the work that you put in. So whatever you're putting into your career right now, or your creative passion projects right now, or both of those things combined, they're going to start coming up and benefiting you. The other thing about fire or creative energy is a kind of like sexual energy as well. So I would highly encourage you to channel your sexual energy into your creative projects, or, you know, if you just want to, like, just have sex, you know, like regardless, I feel like this is going to be a passionate moon for you guys, a fun moon for you guys, a stimulating moon for you guys. Especially because you have Uranus moving through the 1st house and it's receiving that square from Saturn. So you guys already kind of have this more electric energy going on, and it's being highly stimulated by Saturn. So I feel like the electric energy desires to be poured into your career right now because Saturn is in the 10th. So you might feel like there needs to be some career changes, there might need to be some things that you want to make now. Some like ideas could start coming to fruition, or you could be finishing up, because full moons are oftentimes when we start to see like results for things or finish things. So you don't have to necessarily be done at a full moon, but you can start to see kind of like the blessings coming. But I feel like this bee is saying that you probably do have some more work to put in, but with the witch card here is saying that you will receive abundance from whatever you're working on. So that is very exciting. I did want to mention though that you guys do have Chiron transiting the 12th house. So it's going to be important for you guys to really examine the ways in which you can undermine yourself. The 12th house is a lot about self-sabotage, but I like to think about it as an undermining energy, because a lot of the 12th house activities that we participate in, addiction, escapism, poor coping mechanisms, you know, not actually witnessing a lot of what we're doing, like not having the awareness around it. Basically, the 12th house is an unconscious house where a lot of behaviors and habits that we live out and play out are totally like it's against ourselves, it undermines ourselves, but it's also outside of our conscious mind. That's why we're undermining ourselves. So just try to like think about, it's kind of hard when I'm saying it's unconscious and then to think about it, but just kind of write down what you do in a day and maybe examine or like do like a time analysis. Like, how much time am I spending on social media? How much time am I spending doing this? And really get clear with yourself about where you might be undermining yourself or what isn't actually in line with your values and where you might be spending a lot of time and energy and effort. So I just think it's going to be important for you guys to really work hard and channel this passion, channel this fire into your work, because you're going to see the benefits of it if you do. And so I'm really excited about you guys. The 5th house is a very positive one to have a full moon in. And so I really hope that you enjoy this. If you liked this, please comment down below if it resonated and leave a like. And I hope you guys have a great day. And if you want a personal reading, you can check one out at willsboom.com. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer Rising. So my sweet Cancer Risings, you guys are just amazing. I love a good Cancer. Like, you guys are just some of the best and sweetest people, and I don't know, I just feeling a lot of love right now. I don't know what just came over me. I haven't done that for the other signs. But for you guys, this full moon in Virgo is happening in your 3rd house of your environment, your communication, your neighborhood. And I'm going to be pulling some cards for you guys to further explain this energy. And then, yeah, we'll get into it and tie in the astrology. King of Pentacles. Interesting. I feel called to pull one more card. 3 of Pentacles. Okay. So, the stingray. Interesting. All right, I kind of feel like we have a lot going on here. So I'm just going to break it all down for you guys. What's interesting is that I pulled the 9th house faith card. And if you know anything about astrology, then you know that the house polarities are extremely important. So whenever there's one house involved, the other house kind of holds a medicine and opposite meaning from the house opposite it. So the full moon for you guys is happening in your 3rd house, and the opposite house is the 9th house. So I definitely feel like there's some really big themes coming up around your beliefs and your mindset and your way of like dedicating yourself to something. Yeah, that is coming through really strongly, the dedication. So I pulled 2 Pentacles cards, which definitely represents some extreme dedication to something, a lot of time and energy and effort that you have to put into something in order to make something come to fruition. And so what's interesting about the 9th house is that it's representing more like Sagittarius energy, where you're going to go really deep and really hard into one subject and basically become a master of that thing. Whereas the 3rd house, which is where this moon is taking place for you, is a lot more about having an interest in lots of different things and kind of scattering your energy. And so what I think the universe is telling you right now is that it wants you to have a nice mixture of the two, of the 3rd house and the 9th house. So the 9th house is coming strongly through for you in the fact that you are meant to be building something right now, building something that lasts the test of time, that is going to require time and energy from you. And I think that you're going to be so happy that you did in the long run. So that is really where I see like the 9th house coming in. And then of course the 9th house talks about faith. So I think it's believing that it is possible for you is going to be a really big part of this. So yeah, so I see the building aspect coming in with the 9th house. And then where the moon is happening in your 3rd house, I feel like this is more of a networking possibility. It's asking you to work with other people, to communicate with other people in order to get the job done. So I don't think that this is going to be something that you can really do as easily on your own. And that's why I pulled this 3 of Pentacles card. Because the 3 of Pentacles is all about working with others and collaboration. And as I mentioned, the 3rd house is a lot about networking and communication and definitely working and collaborating with other people. And so I feel like in astrology, the third house is the first house where we start to go and explore the world, make those connections, have our community around us supporting us. And so I think that you're meant to lean on other people a little bit more this time. So whether that means you are hiring somebody to help you, or whether that means you are creatively collaborating with other people, there is something that you are meant to build long term to get this King of Pentacles. I don't feel like you guys are there yet. The King of Pentacles, I think, is saying that you've already put a lot of energy into building a long-term thing. But now I feel like you're supposed to build on top of that, or you're supposed to have a separate thing. And the collaboration aspect is going to be super, super, super key for you in order to make that happen. I also got the Stingray card, which you can see this Stingray is very special because it has all of the chakra colors on it, and the Stingray is just woke. It's balancing all those chakras. And so I feel like that's basically you guys right now. Is it's saying that you're connected to spirit and you're getting some of these divine downloads. So if you're getting kind of like an inkling to work with somebody, or somebody approaches you, this is a sign. This is the universe communicating through you. Your chakras are open. You are receiving the messages. You are receiving and attracting abundance into your life. And so I want to say that you should absolutely work on it and go with that person if it feels like it's right to you. I also pulled the Feast card, which says slow down and celebrate yourself. So I feel like there's an element here of you needing to be balanced. So I think whenever you're building something long term, it's so important to stop periodically along the way and give yourself credit for how far you've come. And I feel like this is a self-care deck, and so I really wanted to kind of bring that in because Virgo is a lot about how we take care of ourselves. And so one of the ways that you can best take care of yourself is by periodically stopping, looking back, and writing down everything that you've achieved up until that point in time, and just give yourself a pat on the back. I feel your energy very strongly in this reading, and I feel so much like love for you guys right now. And so I hope that you are giving that to yourself as well. And I just wanted to talk about some other things happening in the astrology. So you guys have Saturn moving through your 8th house, making a square to Uranus in your 11th house. Definitely. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, Uranus in the 11th house, you guys are having some contacts, some networks, some friends. There is something that's coming in for you guys in relation to other groups or other people that is going to support your dreams, because Saturn square Uranus is creating change, creating friction to make change. And so I think Uranus is going to likely provide you with some genius downloads and genius insights about who to work with next in order to make this dream come to life. Saturn moving through the 8th house, I think it's a time for you guys. I think that's probably part of the reason why I chose a 9th house faith card, because honestly, Saturn moving to the 8th house isn't fun. It's a more challenging aspect where it makes us kind of brings out some of our insecurities. Saturn inherently does that in our chart. Wherever you have Saturn, you're going to have insecurities. And then the 8th house as well. So you guys might feel like you're on kind of unsteady ground this next year, because Saturn is going to kind of push those little sensitive points where you might feel like you do have a little bit of insecurity, or you might feel like you're spending a little bit more than you're making because you're in the process of building something. So I just wanted to say, the solution is to collaborate with other people. Don't worry about it. Make sure that you develop your sense of peace and inner security by realizing how far you are coming. So even if you aren't making the money that you want to make from something right now, stopping and going back and evaluating how far you've come is going to give you a greater sense of security. And I actually feel like you guys are having a lot of healing being done specifically through your career, through your leadership, through your place in the world. So because Chiron is moving through the 10th house, it's giving you the opportunity to heal through career. So again, collaborate with people, work on these things long term, have faith and hope in yourself, and celebrate yourself every step along the way. And I think you guys are ultimately going to feel so much fuller in your career, so healed, so beautiful, and you're going to be really happy that all of these things happened. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Please give me a like or comment down below if you did. And if you want, you can always purchase a personal reading from me at willowsbloom.com. Thanks. Bye. All right, up next we have Leo Rising. So for you guys, this full moon in Virgo is happening in your second house of finances, of possessions, of your skill set, of your values and your self-worth. And today I'm going to be pulling some cards for you. Oh, that's so weird. I just pulled the card that says second house. You guys, these things are crazy how they happen like that. It's so weird. Yeah, so I'm going to pull some cards to kind of give extra layers of meaning, even though the second house just didn't give any more extra meaning. It's the same thing as what's happening. 10 of Pentacles. Okay, guys. Okay. Leo Risings. You guys are coming into some money. That's very exciting. Ooh, the black egg. Okay, I'm going to need to look up what that is. Before I go on with the astrology, I kind of like to weave them all together if you guys haven't seen any of my videos. But before I do that, I just want to look up the black egg to see, because it is a unique... Normally these are animals and you guys got the egg. So it's some kind of more meaningful animal totem or egg totem. Okay, I'm just going to read this out loud. Speaking from an authentic voice, the truth. The black egg contains one of life's essential treasures, the truth. Come on, focus. I don't know if it's focused now. Inside of it resides no confusion, excuses, small talk, noise, or lies. This living and breathing vessel harbors only that which rings true. When this essence is in balance, we speak slowly and clearly. We are drawn to activities like writing, reading, teaching, singing, or perhaps public speaking. Sounds draw us in, books draw us in, the concept of truth itself draws us in. We start asking questions like, what do I know to be true about myself? What is true about the world? When the energy of the black egg is not yet accessed, we speak from an unsure place. We say things others want to hear, gossip, or repeat stories to justify our subpar behavior. We might even try to convince ourselves that we have no inner truth at all. Okay, so basically, it's the truth. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to kind of go with that. All right, so as I mentioned before, this full moon in Virgo is taking place in your second house. And so I definitely feel like you guys are going to come into some money because I pulled the second house card and the 10 of Pentacles. So the full moon is all about receiving retribution, receiving things that you've put time and energy and effort into. So I absolutely think that you guys are going to start to manifest some physical material realities here that you've been trying to manifest for a while. It's interesting that you got the black egg because you also have Saturn moving through your 7th house of relationships. So there might be a need to express your truth and hold certain boundaries or have some kind of communicative resolution with somebody in your relationships. Oh, and you got raindrops. Take a chance on them. So there can be some changes coming into your relationships or into your career. And this energy, I feel like, is saying maybe it's time for you to believe that that person can be who you need them to be. But the only way that you're ever going to really know is if you tell them the truth about how you're feeling. So take a chance on them. I think this doesn't have to be a romantic partner, but it could be. So if there's somebody that you've been interested in and you want to tell them, then I feel like this is a confirmation to go ahead and tell them. But it could be coming in through your career as well, because Saturn is making a square to Uranus in the 10th house. So you have energy kind of interweaving between your career and your relationships. So somebody new could be entering in through either of those avenues. And it's going to be very important to very clearly communicate the truth about who you are and what you want and what you expect. So that can be, again, in your career or in your relationships. So maybe it's talking to a boss and asking them finally for that raise because that's been on your heart and on your mind. Or maybe it's finally telling that person that you like them, or having a talk with somebody that you're already with and telling them the honest truth about how you've been thinking and feeling lately and the changes that you might need and how that can somehow kind of influence your career. I do feel like there is a tie here. So whenever one is being changed, the other will sort of be affected. So there is a link between the career and your relationships right now. So yeah, there has to be some aspect of yourself that you're even coming to terms with, because you guys have Chiron moving through the ninth house, and the ninth house is the part of ourselves where we develop our sense of the world, where we develop what we believe to be true, not only about ourselves but the interconnectedness of society and how things should be set up. And so we develop a really strong truth in the ninth house, and it's time for you to kind of examine what your truth is about life and then speak that. So I do feel like this is specifically coming in through relationships though. So like you're meant to take these ideas and beliefs and truths and channel it into your relationships and share that with your partners. So that's going to be really important for you guys around this full moon. But ultimately, it's about honestly really celebrating, because this moon is going to give you guys lots of abundance. I see that coming through. This message feels pretty simple, to be honest. Like changes could come through your career and relationships, but I feel like it's specifically really around speaking your truth within those places in order to make those changes. So if something has felt misaligned, or if you've been feeling like you've been holding your truth back in some way, it's going to be important to speak out about those. So this looks super positive for you guys. I hope that you guys enjoy this full moon. If you guys like this reading, then please give me a thumbs up or comment down below. And of course, if you want to, you can always purchase a personalized reading from me at willsboom.com. I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Virgo Rising. So for you guys, this full moon is of course happening in your first house because you are Virgo Rising. So I'm going to be pulling some cards for you guys, and it's going to just kind of add some extra layer of meaning as I go through and talk about the astrology. Interesting. You're the second group to get an egg card. Normally these are all animals, and the really important ones at the very end have to do with the chakras, and they are egg cards. So I'm going to have to pull the meaning on that one, I think. Aquarius, I know. Okay, I feel called to pull two. First house, the body. Okay, literally every time. So for the last reading, for Leo Risings, this full moon was happening in their second house, and I pulled the second house card. And for you guys, this full moon is happening in your first house, and I just pulled the first house card. So surprise, surprise. And then one self-care card for you all. Homeward, take yourself on a date. Actually, let me pull two. Stars, you can manifest your every wish. All right. Okay. Before I get started with this, let me just look up the meaning of the cosmic egg, and I might go ahead and read out some of it if I feel called to. Cosmic egg, completion, harmony, the infinite within the finite. The cosmic egg is a final card in the journey of the animal spirit deck, and it represents the unfolding of cosmic consciousness. This state emerges after we have tread the path for quite some time, and through self-effort and grace, we experience self-realization. A sense of contentment and oneness spontaneously arises within us, and the veils of our self-limiting beliefs are lifted. When the essence of the cosmic egg has not yet been activated, we feel as if we will never get there, or that we travel alone, disconnected from others. Even if our encounter with this card is brief, appearing as a momentary glimmer or flash of interconnectedness, its potent energy stays with us. It's a remedy for the fragmentation of modern life. We're reminded of the cosmic contract written at the beginning. Okay, I love this because whenever a moon is happening, especially a full moon in your first house, it's very illuminating. It's very illuminating of all of your tendencies, your ways of being, the way that people perceive you, the way that you move through the world, because the first house is the only house in the entire chart that solely has to do with you, with yourself and your internal world. It's like your physical body, everything. It's just about you. So if we had to pick one house in the chart to represent you, it's the first. And the fact that the cosmic egg is coming through, I feel like is saying that you are actually you're ending a cycle and you're starting a new one. And in order to do this, I feel like you have to first examine a lot of the thought patterns that have been holding you back, or a lot of the kind of shadow sides of ourselves that have been getting in the way. And especially because Virgo Risings inherently have a very self-critical aspect to themselves. They can kind of be perfectionists, they can kind of get on their backs, and I feel like this moon card is saying it's time to illuminate those tendencies and leave them behind so we can close out the cycle and begin a new one. It's also time to see the interconnectedness. So, I mean, besides just new cycles, this card is really about our interconnectedness to everything. And so I feel like it's a lot easier to show compassion to ourselves when we recognize ourselves as divine, when we recognize ourselves as part of source. And so I think that's going to be a common or important thing to keep in mind. And I really feel like that's why I pulled this homeward card, take yourself out on a date, because I feel like you guys have probably been a little bit more critical than usual to yourselves. There has been some kind of more intense energy. The Saturn square Uranus that's been happening, for me personally as a Virgo rising, has led to a lot of the, self-criticism because I haven't made all of the changes to the degree that I wanted to make changes. And Saturn and Uranus puts extra pressure saying, make those changes. And so the inherent side of Virgo can come out saying, like, I'm not doing good enough. And I feel like what this is saying is that you are doing good enough. You are enough. And it's time to kind of date yourself, to love yourself, and take yourself out and give yourself flowers and give a bath or take a bath and just spend some time really showing yourself the kind of love and affection externally. And then hopefully that will also start to seep in so that your internal thoughts will begin to match it. Because we have to take care of ourselves if we want to love ourselves. So they have to happen simultaneously. So it's not just about speaking to yourself differently, it's about taking care of yourself differently. And then since I pulled the first house, I also think that this could bring about maybe some changes in your physical body. So it's always a good time to, get a checkup, especially because you have Saturn moving through the 6th house, which can be the house of ill health. And Saturn is a sort of like a malignant energy. It's not positive. And so having Saturn move through your 6th can bring up some more health issues, or it can make you more like strict with what you're eating, or it can make you feel sick from what you're eating. So there's lots of ways that can come about, but especially with like stomach issues, since Virgo rules the stomach. So yeah, so just keep in mind if you maybe need to go see the doctor, if you've been feeling a little bit off kind of recently. 2021 is a really important time for you to focus on your health and take really good care of it, especially with Saturn squaring Uranus. There can be maybe some unexpected surprises coming through with your health, things that are not helpful for you. So just make sure that you, again, are really taking care of yourself, taking yourself on a date, taking care of your physical body, and being really aware of what you're putting into it as far as consumption is concerned. You guys also have Uranus moving through the 9th house. So you guys are going through kind of like this shakeup in the way that you view the world. It's giving you an opportunity to be more optimistic in nature, to believe in yourself and to view things from a different lens, to kind of be presented with many different experiences throughout this year as Uranus is moving through the 9th house, and probably many more years. But yeah, as Uranus is moving through the 9th house for you guys, it's giving you an opportunity to see things differently. And Uranus is the planetary ruler of Aquarius, which is a card that I pulled, which is I know. And so I feel like this is kind of saying that maybe it's time to challenge what you know, because Saturn is making a square to Uranus, and that means leaving behind some old things, some old thoughts, some old beliefs. So what is it that you feel like you know that maybe actually isn't true, or maybe actually isn't serving you? So I think it's time to examine again some of those like shadow side of ourselves, to let go of some of the things that you think that you know. It's like, do I really have to be this kind of person to love and accept myself? That's challenging your beliefs, challenging your limiting beliefs really specifically. You guys also have Chiron moving through the 8th house. And so I feel like this is a really wonderful opportunity for, again, clearing some of those shadows, clearing some of your insecurities, clearing some of your self-doubts. And the more that you actually take care of your physical body, I actually see that really benefiting and healing some of those insecurities. So they are intricately linked. I mean, they say that the gut is the second brain, and you can literally see that when you make changes to the gut, your whole biochemistry changes, your thoughts change, your way of being changes. You can even change like your personality. And so it's going to be really important for you to, again, be really careful and mindful of your health as Saturn moves through the sixth house this next year for you guys. And it's also making a sextile to Chiron in the eighth. So again, as you make changes to your health, I see changes. I see relief coming and healing coming in regards to those, insecurities and self-doubt, and vice versa. You can work on both and they will kind of impact each other. So I feel like that's really the focus for you guys, is ending this old cycle and this old way of thinking and starting to believe that new things are possible for you. Because having Uranus in the ninth house is like saying that you are making changes to your level of optimism and what you believe is possible. And I also pulled the Stars card, you can manifest your every wish. So I feel like that's kind of in line with what I was saying about opening up to the idea that you can manifest something different, that you can be a different person, that you can leave behind some of those old cycles and not trying to beat yourself up into it, which Virgos typically do, which I can relate to really strongly. So that was the message for you guys. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up and comment down below. And if you guys want a personal reading, you can buy that at willswim.com. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Libra Rising. So Libra, I am very excited to talk to you guys about this full moon, which is happening in your 12th house. And I'm going to be pulling some cards for you guys in order to get a little bit more energy coming through, and to see kind of where this might take you guys on a personal level. And I pulled the Star card and the Unicorn card. So it's feeling really majestic right now. It's feeling a little bit mysterious. Feather, think first before you judge. And Taurus, I have. Interesting. I think I want to pull one more tarot card. Three of Wands. All right. Okay, so it's interesting because I feel like you guys have really positive cards, but like the moon itself, normally a Virgo full moon in the 12th house doesn't sound that positive, simply because the 12th house can be a little bit more challenging. I've mentioned in another group that the 12th house is a lot about where we undermine ourselves and our energy. It's where we have unconscious patterns playing out in the background without realizing it. Or we could even have some more overt self-sabotaging behaviors come to light. But what's interesting is that I pulled the Star card, which has a lot to do with being like really optimistic about the future and about what's happening, and what's to come. And so, why isn't it focusing? What's also interesting is that the Star is Aquarius energy, and we have Saturn and Jupiter moving through Aquarius. So I feel like there is some kind of new cycle happening for you guys now that these planets have shifted into Aquarius, and that feels really positive. So I think, yeah, I'm getting a positive feeling for you guys. Just like looking at it, I'm like, no. But the feeling that I'm getting is positive. So what I'm thinking is that, yeah, the feeling that I'm getting is that this is a moon of liberation. So as the 12th house is illuminated, all of those old thoughts and those old patterns are being illuminated and giving you an opportunity to move forward and giving you an opportunity to finally leave some of those things behind. You guys also have Uranus moving through the 8th house, which is a lot of where our insecurities stem from. And so I feel like there can be stuff coming up in your either your like dating life or your with your children, or like your creative projects or your like business. There's something in regards to Saturn being in the 5th house, making a square to Uranus in the 8th. So one of those activities that I just mentioned is going to kind of push you in order to give you guys the opportunity to make changes to those insecurities, to like leave some of those behind. So I feel like you guys have two things going on right now. You have the 12th house matters, where a lot of unconscious things from, honestly, karmically from other lifetimes are kind of residing and playing themselves out in the background of our lives. That is being illuminated, and it's going to help you shine light and look forward to the future in a more positive way, like with the star card. And then you guys also are leaving behind some of those more obvious, more irritating insecurities and self-doubt that comes from Uranus being in the 8th house, making a square to Saturn in the 5th. So there are going to be some basically like maybe even little experiences in your life where you're going to have those things come out, and you're going to be like, oh, I don't want that anymore. I want to make new and different decisions. And it's going to help you close out that cycle. So I do think that these insecurities and things are going to sort of be intertwined or related and linked to what is happening in the 12th house with the unconscious undermining influences. So yeah, so I feel like that's really positive in terms of breaking old patterns and old cycles and old ways of being, which is what this whole moon is about. And I'm going to look up what the unicorn specifically means, because I still feel like the message isn't totally clear here. So unicorn, reconnecting to higher wisdom or divinity. Yeah, you guys, the 12th house is literally our like the source of the divine. It's our spirituality. It's our ability to connect. And so having a full moon illuminate that area of our life is going to give us the opportunity to reconnect to our power, to spirit, to source. And I think it's going to help us make some of those changes and have a more optimistic attitude for the future. All right. It's difficult to see, hear, or think of a unicorn without immediately questioning if it's real. Did they ever exist? Perhaps long, long ago? The mind answers maybe, or it could be, or no way. This very contemplation explains our relationship with divinity and encapsulates our wavering belief in the unicorn. We wonder what divinity is. We wonder where our intuition comes from and if we can really trust it. We think about a higher power, and our mind hesitates between yes, no, and maybe. Is it male? Is it female? Does it have a name? Is it just a feeling? The unicorn card appears and wakes us up to curiosity about the higher self and the divine. It's a card of questioning, exploring, and contemplating the inexplicable. The mind's eye knows there's something beyond our day-to-day lives, a deeper dimension to our experiences. All right, so yeah, I actually feel like this is going to be a very spiritual full moon for you guys. And what's interesting is when it said contemplating, I don't know why, but originally I like thought about this girl kind of kneeling, and I thought about the statue where, is it the statue of David, where he's kind of like got his head on his like fist and on his knee, kind of like she's standing. And so I do feel like this could be a more contemplative moon where we're not only just examining like those parts of ourselves that undermine us to remove them, the insecurities, all that, but I think it's contemplating also our spiritual connection, our own divinity, our own intuition. And I think that's going to lead us really far in terms of what we're able to create. So, Okay, so I also wanted to mention the Taurus I Have card. So there could be some insecurities coming in specifically through our like possessions or our money. So because Uranus is moving through the 8th house and Saturn's making a square to Uranus, this could be a time where we kind of have more money going out than going in, or we could have unexpected income from like a deceased relative or something like that. But I'm noticing that there's going to likely be some kind of changes to our income that this full moon is going to present. And it could be a change because of our own internal changes, as well as things that we're going out and creating with this 3 of Wands. Whenever I think of the Wands energy, it's like a very creative energy, and you can see she's looking out on what she's about to go explore and what she's about to go do. And so I feel like what this is saying is that as we release some of those limiting beliefs, as we release some of those insecurities and undermining influences, we're also going to have the opportunity to start making changes to our financial situation. And I feel like that's just on the horizon because of this card right here. I don't think we're actually in that energy yet, but I feel like we're about to create something that is going to give us the opportunity to have more income through our business. And I say business because Saturn is in the 5th house, which has a lot to do with entrepreneurship, and it's making a square to Uranus in the 8th house, which is other people's money. So this kind of square can basically indicate that we can create something that will bring in other people's money. Alternatively, we could be spending the money. It doesn't always have to be positive. So just kind of watch your purse strings, watch your wallet. But I absolutely feel like it is going to be positive because this 3 of Wands is surrounded by the Aquarius star card and the unicorn. Okay, yeah, wow. Okay, so the realization that I just got is because this is surrounded by these 2 cards of having hope, of having faith. Literally, the unicorn is about believing something that isn't here yet. And the star card is about having hope and faith for the future. So I feel like that is exactly what this is saying. While this new moon might not feel like the best new moon, or full, did I say new moon? This full moon might not always feel the best being in the 12th house. What it's doing is it's ultimately going to allow us to make some real changes that is going to bring in some abundance to us. And it's telling us to have hope and faith in the future because it is possible. I also pulled this feather card, think first before you judge. You guys, I feel like that is what this card is saying is we're judging our current reality and seeing it basically for what it is and being like, okay, well, I don't have money. I don't have the things that I want right now. My life isn't what I want it to be. And so we're judging the current situation based off of the current energy. And what this is telling us to do is to connect to source and have complete faith and stop judging the situation right now for what it is because we're limiting ourselves based off of those current judgments. We need to release the mold and think that anything can happen. That's what the star card and unicorn is saying. Like anything can happen. This could be huge. Whatever it is you're making, whatever it is you're creating, or if it's a relationship because Saturn in the 5th can also be partners or even children, whatever it is you are thinking of making, the connection, the children, the business, the creative venture, that thing is going to be better than you expect. But you're going to have to release the current judgment of the situation in order to allow that goodness to come in. You guys likely also have some healing that needs to be done in regards to your relationships because we are having Chiron move to the 7th house. It's been there for a long time. But right now Saturn is making a sextile to that. So I actually think that you working on this thing, on this creative project or whatever this is going to give you some more healing in your relationships. Like maybe it will give you more confidence. Maybe it will give you more money. Maybe it will change your perspective on things. It could be the child that helps heal the relationship. There is something here that you are making that is going to heal the relationship. Or maybe it's literally just this new connection that you're starting to see someone, you're starting to date someone, and you're going to start healing some things from the past just inherently because that person helps you do that. So I feel like this full moon is going to feel really positive. Ultimately, it's going to have positive results, but sometimes there might be some moments where it feels like a little bit hairy just because the 12th house can be like somewhat challenging. But overall, I feel like this is looking good for you guys. It's looking up. It's telling you guys to have a lot of faith and hope for the future because you're absolutely going to create something powerful that is going to help people, that's going to move things forward and progress life. And yeah, I love that for you guys. Okay, thank you guys so much for staying tuned. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up or comment down below. And as always, if you want a personal reading, you can book one with me at willsboom.com. I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, up next we have Scorpio Rising. So for you guys, this full moon in Virgo is happening in your 11th house of friendships, of networking, of connections. Oh, goodness. Okay, so I'm pulling some cards for all of us. And okay. Sorry, I pulled the 10 of Swords and I was like, please, they've all been so positive. Why the 10 of Swords? But the 10 of Swords can also be an ending of an old cycle and a starting of a new one. So it doesn't have to just be like you feeling all down. Okay. Yeah, because in astrology, the 11th house is extremely positive. Oh my God, this has been happening every reading. So I keep pulling the 11th, like I keep pulling the house card of where the moon falls in for that sign. So for you guys, I mentioned the full moon is happening in your 11th house, and I just pulled the 11th house card. So I'm going to pull another one just to kind of give more context. Part of fortune. Okay, girl. So that looks good for you guys. You and Leo risings, you guys are just raking in that money. Expectations. Don't seek anyone's approval. All right. All right. So let's talk about this kind of using the cards and using the astrology. Okay. So having a full moon in the 11th house, I feel like is basically presenting you with some kind of opportunity, because the 11th house friendships, yes, it can bring some sort of resolution to existing friendships, maybe to some issues that you've had in friendships. It can kind of bring that to a head, bring that to a resolution. But really what I'm seeing is that there is some kind of connection happening through friends, through a network that is ultimately going to end a challenging cycle where maybe you feel like you were stuck or you were uncomfortable, and it's bringing that to a close. So whether that is with an existing friendship or it's just like some aspect of your life that's been kind of frustrating, I see that this full moon is bringing this ending to a close and starting a new cycle where you feel very, very prosperous. I pulled the 6 of Pentacles. I feel like you guys are going to be moving forward. You're going to be feeling so prosperous that you're going to be sharing that with others. You're going to feel super abundant. You're going to create new friendships, new networks, new connections based off of what's coming in at this full moon and this opportunity, especially because I pulled the part of fortune, which in astrology is the part of our chart that represents where we can have an increase in abundance and finances and good luck. So ultimately, I absolutely see that happening for you guys. The 11th house is a house of increase. So I'm not going to go into all the details, but there are certain houses where things tend to increase, and then like the positive things, and then there are other houses where they tend to decrease. The 11th house is a very positive one where things increase. So this is literally part of fortune increase. I think it's basically saying that you absolutely will have an increase of friendships, of networks, of connections, as well as finances. I'm really seeing the finances come in here because she's just sitting there giving out gifts, and I'm feeling like that is her. Basically, using her abundance and bestowing it on other people. So I want to look up what this raccoon means, because I did pull a raccoon spirit card for you. Talented, shadowy, in hiding. Raccoon energy is at play within all artists to a greater or lesser degree. At best, it indicates talent, tenacity, and skillfulness with a particular musical instrument or creative tool. Its shadow side points to an unresolved issue around self-image and success. Sometimes using a stage name or wearing a mask works in an artist's favor. Other times it limits creativity. Am I who my audience thinks I am? What if I'm ready to grow into something more? Raccoon energy won't let us off the hook until this creative ego fear is resolved. Wow. This is pretty crazy because I have a friend that's a Scorpio rising, and right now she's currently having a potential opportunity for a really big break, and that would mean more recognition. And I think inherently there are fears that come up with that, about how other people are going to perceive you, about how worthy you are of something. And it's interesting that both of these things came out. Raccoon is about obviously what I just said, about kind of feeling like we need to hide or keep ourselves small or not fully divulge our true nature, because there's a fear of being hurt inherently in that. And then we also have expectations, don't seek anyone's approval. So I feel like there is some side of you, as you are starting to break out and make these connections and opportunities, there is some side of you that is wanting to keep yourself safe or hold yourself back, maybe because of how others will perceive you on one hand, and then on the other hand, because it doesn't feel safe to show your true authentic self in a more public way, in a way that we're going to be seen. And that's interesting because the moon in the 11th, I mean, this is illuminating the area of life where we begin to be seen. Like the 10th and the 11th house are where we're kind of more on stage, where we're more in the public, where we're more in a community and a network and have eyes on us. And so there's an inherent fear there. And I feel like it's saying that it's time to end this fear. It's time to end that part of us that wants to keep us in hiding, that wants to keep us small, that judges ourselves based on others' expectations. It's time to totally let that go right now. And I do feel like you guys are going to be having some changes happening in your relationships or even like your perception of other people, because right now you have Uranus moving through the 7th house of others, and it's making a square to Saturn in your 4th house of home and family. So I feel like there is basically asking you to change your like perception around relationships or other people, because whenever I'm thinking of Saturn in the 4th house, I'm thinking of our roots and our foundation and like beliefs that we've always had, thoughts that we've always had, relationships that have been modeled to us since children. Those things can kind of become ingrained in us in the 4th house. And Saturn is coming there to dispel those things, especially making a square to Uranus. It's coming to dispel these old relationship patterns that we've inherited, these old thoughts and these old beliefs about how people should be and how maybe our family thinks we should be. Saturn is coming to kind of control, alt, delete. I don't know if that made any sense. Just delete. So basically Saturn is coming here to delete some of those programming and patterns that come from our family. And because this is making a square to Uranus, I see this directly impacting your relationship with other people. So maybe it's not even just about you making those changes to like how your family expected you to be, but also how just other people and relationships and any kind of, close one-on-one connections, how they might expect you to be. So it's really about, I feel like this is a lot about you letting go of even the concept and the thoughts and the beliefs of other people, and just finding people who really resonate with you, because the 11th house is friends. It's about people who are on your level, people like for example, you start off in elementary school, you're in a class with all these people and you just have to be there. But then you go off into the world, you go to college, and you start joining groups of people with like-minded interests. That is an 11th house thing. You are grouping up with people who understand you, who resonate with you, who are at your level. And so instead of just trying to make yourself small or not shine your light too bright because you've encountered people in the past who don't get you, it's about finding the new connections, the new networks that are going to support you moving forward. So it's about looking ahead, looking forward about what's to come. So I feel like that's going to be a really big thing, is just kind of sidestepping or moving past anything that is old baggage coming from other people's beliefs and expectations and old relationships that maybe have run its course. So this is a really beautiful time to connect with like-minded individuals who will absolutely move your career forward. And the more that you start to connect with those people and put your energy and effort into those people instead of the people who are keeping you small, the more that you're going to find huge financial increases with this part of fortune. You guys also have Chiron moving through your 6th house. So this is where I feel like the self-doubt is coming up, because the 6th house is where we start to really question ourselves. And I feel like during this moon, Chiron is being triggered and saying, can I do this? It's like the feeling of self-doubt, the feeling of unworthiness, the feeling of being beneath someone, because the 6th house is also servitude. So there's a very much like this energy of being beneath other people or like less than other people. And so Chiron is asking you to heal those beliefs and those thoughts during this transit. And the more that you start to dispel some of these like old patterns that come from family, from your ancestry, from growing up, from your childhood, the more that you work on dispelling those things, the more it's going to inherently heal those self-doubts around your worthiness and equality with other people, because we are all equal. And so you're going to fully embody that and fully live that once you're able to like delete the programming from your childhood. So that's what I'm saying for you guys. I hope that this was beneficial. If so, please like and comment down below. It looks super positive. And if you guys want a personal reading from me, you can always book that at willowsboom.com. Thanks. Bye. All right, up next we have Sagittarius Rising. So for you guys, this full moon is happening in your 10th house of career, which is honestly one of my favorites. I'm also pulling some cards for you guys. So I feel like it's going to give us some extra meaning along with the astrology, and I'll just kind of interweave everything all together like I love to do. So I pulled the Death card, the Six of Wands, the Zebra card, the Sixth House routine, which is interesting because you guys have Uranus currently transiting through your sixth house. So there might need to be some changes going on with your routine or with your health. Shark, swim away from this situation. Interesting. All right. Yeah, there is some kind of ending coming here. So sometimes with the full moon, there can be an ending. And it is in your 10th house of career, but I don't even just see it as career. I see it as some kind of like relationship with an authority figure. So if the career aspect of that isn't really resonating, there can be some relationship with a father, with a mother, or with an authority figure that needs to be changed, altered, or just ended altogether. Because the Death card is about putting a finite ending to something, saying this is absolutely no longer working, it has to go. And because I pulled the Shark, swim away from this situation energy, I feel like I feel like it's basically saying that there is some element of what you're currently doing for your work or who you're currently interacting with in terms of authority figures that is actually kind of dangerous or like not helping you, because the Shark makes me feel like there's a danger. I don't think that there's a danger. Actually, maybe there is, but I feel like it's basically just saying it is not good for you. So if there is something that you feel like I've been meaning to change that or end that in terms of your approach to your career, something that you're doing in your career, or an authority figure that you're interacting with, this is saying to make those changes to end that or adapt that in some way that serves you. But ultimately, having a full moon in your 10th house of career is giving you a new start, it's giving you a new leaf and a new beginning, an opportunity in your career. So almost always as an opportunity arises, something has to fall away. So that's what the Death card is. It's that thing falling away so that you can step into the Six of Wands, which is a victory card. So you guys have to let go of whatever this is in order to step into a victorious result. So whatever you're going after, it is going to be successful, but you have to first let go of something is what I'm getting here. As I mentioned before, you guys also have Uranus moving through your sixth house of health, of daily routines, and of, kind of being like a subordinate. So maybe you are working for somebody and that's got to go, that's got to change, and maybe you're meant to be working for yourself. Or maybe there is something coming up within your health that you need to really work on. Or maybe there's something coming up just in your daily routine that is no longer serving you. There is some adjustment that needs to be made in one of these areas, and it's being linked with Saturn because there is a square between Saturn and Uranus right now. So Saturn is in the third house of communication. That's why, again, I'm feeling like this is something work related. Like you might need to communicate some kind of change, some kind of ending, some kind of readjustment in your career. So I feel like something isn't working in your career and you're going to be super successful, but you have to communicate what changes need to be made in the hierarchical system. That really came through strong with me, the hierarchy, because the 10th house is about that, and also because the 6th house is like you being a subordinate, you working for someone, or maybe even someone working for you. Maybe you're the employer and they need to talk to you about it, or you need to talk to them about it. There is some element here of adjusting the hierarchy, or there's some element of adjusting something at work, and doing it through communication. So being super clear about what your needs are, and not holding back. And again, this could come down to routine. I'm not really feeling that, but if it resonates with you, it could be that you need to change your mindset about how you structure your day, or how you communicate with somebody throughout your day. But I definitely feel like there is something going on with work here. I just can't help but see that. Let me just read what it says for the Zebra card. Initially, what I got from that card was that you guys are unique. You guys are, you have like this, whenever you think of a zebra, like the first thing that you think of are its stripes, right? And I feel like it's a special animal. It gets noticed. And I feel like maybe that's what you guys need right now. Maybe you guys need to be noticed within your career, and you need to communicate about that because you're not being fully recognized or fully noticed, or you need to end something so that you can be more noticed and step into something on your own. There is some element here of you desiring to fully be seen and having a full moon illuminate your career area, saying, you deserve to be seen. You deserve to be illuminated in your career and your uniqueness and your creativity. So this is your chance to speak your truth about that and absolutely make it known. It's a time to show up on social media and communicate with people so that you can be more seen for what you are doing and get more credit. Zebras are the most precious of gems. They're young at heart, well-cultured, and have an undying curiosity about life, which is so funny because Sagittarius energy is all about having exactly that. That's literally that. They're young at heart, well-cultured, and undying curiosity. I mean, that is a Sagittarius if you've ever met one. Being in the company of a zebra personality not only is a delight, but also opens our minds. Be prepared. Their potent magic is contagious, and you may soon find yourself in a faraway land, expanding your worldview while having a blast. Zebras also like to contribute to the global health through environmental or volunteer work. This card may be a hint to pack your bags. Wow. That is so Sagittarian energy. So I feel like the zebra is representing you and your desire to further explore your curiosities, further explore your creativity and your wisdom, and be seen and be recognized for the work that you do. So if you've been feeling like you haven't been getting attention for that, then this is your time to like take a stand and make some sort of change, and you will be victorious in it. So maybe if you're asking for a raise, or maybe if you're ending some old employment and starting a new one, this victory card, the Six of Wands card, is basically saying that you will have a positive outcome from speaking your truth. You guys also have Chiron moving through your 5th house, and the 5th house is a lot about being seen. So there is some inherent thing here that needs to be healed in order for you guys to be seen. So there is some kind of like, there can be some things coming up from childhood about you maybe not getting the recognition that you need. Basically, all you need to do is just communicate about it, because Saturn is making a sextile to Chiron in the 5th, and Saturn's in the 3rd house of communication. So if you can just communicate your truth, then you are going to heal any wounds you have around being seen. So the 5th house is also a lot about like our own uniqueness, our own gifts, and really being a shining light. So I feel like that's coming through really strongly, that you guys are desiring that and you guys deserve that. And this is the moon to make that happen for you guys. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If so, please leave a like or comment down below and let me know if you have any questions. And if you guys want to, you can book a reading with me at willisbloom.com. Thanks. Bye. All right, up next we have Capricorn Rising. So for you guys, this full moon is happening in your 9th house, which is a lot about our beliefs, which I always say. The 9 of Pentacles. Okay, I'm also pulling cards for you guys to kind of go along with this and see how this energy might unfold. The Peacock. That's a beautiful card. I love that. And I'll be, of course, interweaving these cards into what's going on with the astrology to make it all make sense for you guys. Forgive. That Forgive card came in really strongly in regards to your family, because right now you have Chiron moving through the 4th house. Saturn return age. Interesting. I kind of want to pull one more. Solar eclipse revolution. All right. So I'm just going to adjust to sit on my knees because I'm a weirdo. All right. So having this full moon illuminate your 9th house. I feel like there's a maturing happening here, because I pulled the Saturn return age card, and I also pulled the 9 of Pentacles, where this woman is a little bit older and she's like really worked hard on creating something in her life. So that's the feeling that I'm getting from you guys, is that you've probably put effort into something. You probably are reaching this maturing phase where you are seeing life differently. Maybe you've had some like big life events happen in the last year, at least like the last 6 months. Maybe you just got engaged, maybe you just moved houses, maybe you've been like working on building something for yourself, like a business or a family. And I feel like this full moon is saying that there are, it's like changing your internal world to kind of match the maturing that you've done on the outside. So it's like you're finally fully seeing, I'm feeling like there's a sense of completion here. Like you've put your work and your energy into these things. You've had these big maturing moments, and now this full moon is coming in here to kind of illuminate your internal world and be like, look how much you've changed. Look how much you've grown. And I feel like that is so powerful. And it's such a great time to look back and be like, wow, I've done so much. And give yourself like a pat on the back. Give yourself the credit, because the Nine of Pentacles, I mean, whatever you've done, it has taken effort. You know, if you've gotten engaged, that takes effort to cultivate a strong, lasting relationship. If you've been working on your business, that takes a lot of time and energy and money and effort to do that. And Saturn return is all about getting, like, reaping the rewards from the effort that we've put into something. And the fact that the Nine of Pentacles came out, which is also about reaping material rewards for what you've created, I feel like you guys are having that sense of completion. You're reaping the rewards. You're feeling good internally. You're feeling like, I have done so much, and kind of giving yourself a pat on the back. You have Saturn right now moving through the second house, and Saturn can kind of like restrict finances, but it can also, as a karmic planet, it can also give you more finances because of work you've put in prior. And the latter one is what I'm feeling for you guys. I mean, because I pulled the Saturn return, I'm feeling that you guys are going through a maturing process, and you've put in a lot of effort up into this point in time, and you're going to reap those Nine of Pentacles rewards and actually receive money for what you've been doing. So I think that this is going to be really positive for you guys. And especially because Saturn is making a square to Uranus in the 5th house. So if you've been working on any kind of creative project or something like to do with children, or if you have your own business, something like that is actually going to give you guys the opportunity to start making a lot more money. So that is something that is going to mature and age and grow into something bigger, which is really exciting. So I feel like those Saturn-Uranus shifts are basically saying that you're going to start reaping some rewards, some unexpected rewards from things that you've done prior, but you're likely going to still have to make some changes. I mean, Uranus is always asking for change. So there's going to be some element here of change. That's going to be different for everyone, but it's what's going to help you bring in some of those finances. So let's look at what the peacock represents. And I've been reading this off for a couple of groups, so I'm going to read yours off. It's such a beautiful card. Inner beauty, compassion. The beauty of the peacock is unrivaled. It's easy to think it comes from the plumage, but the secret of the peacock is that the beauty resides within and extends outward indefinitely. This adept creature can assimilate or digest all experiences in life, so it does not harbor resentment, conflict, or past pain within. The peacock type is extremely rare. Not many of us have reached this advanced level of acceptance of the self and others. You guys, that's exactly what I was saying. I have chills right now because I was saying you guys have done a lot of maturing, and now this full moon in the 9th house is saying that the inside is representing what's happening on the outside. It's like illuminating that you guys have matured so much externally and internally. And that's what it's saying, is that you're so beautiful inside, you guys. You're so beautiful. And I love that it specifically says the peacock doesn't harbor any resent. It can swallow just about anything. And I specifically pulled the red forgive card. So I feel like there is some element here of forgiveness that needs to come through. So you need to let go of anything in the past. Specifically, it's coming in around family. It could even have to do with like family and money. I don't really know what this is. It could be something around home. I feel like it's something around family or your childhood, and could have a lot to do with like your self-worth, your finances, something like that. There needs to be some forgiveness around these areas of your life because it's holding you back. You've done a lot of maturing, but you just need to let go of this last little thing. And I did pull the Solar Eclipse Revolution card. And I feel like this is a little bit more of an intense energy than I'm getting from you guys. What I'm really getting is kind of like this peaceful energy. Like I've worked so hard, I've made these changes, and now I'm seeing the results. And solar eclipse can sometimes be like, whoa. I don't really, I'm not really getting that feeling. I'm getting the feeling that it's basically just you have truly changed, because it says revolution. Like you've truly changed. You've put in the work. And I mean, as a Capricorn rising, you guys have had one of the hardest times with having Saturn and Pluto move through your first house all of 2020. And so what it did, it literally led to an internal revolution. And now I feel like things are finally settling. You still have some stuff to forgive and let go, but you're starting to reap the rewards, and you're starting to feel and look more beautiful inside and out. And so I feel like you guys are not only getting like the physical monetary rewards, but the internal rewards of putting so much hard work, of this revolutionary energy that came from all of 2020. So you guys have been doing such a good job. I just want to congratulate you. And this is hopefully going to be a really positive moon for you guys. If you guys like this, please give me a thumbs up or comment down below. And of course, if you want a personalized reading, you can check out willowsbloom.com. Thanks. Bye. All right, up next we have Aquarius Rising. So for you guys, this full moon in Virgo is happening in your 8th house. Not the best house to have it in, but not the worst. Maybe one of the worst. But we'll see how this moon ends up being. It looks like it can bring a lot of self-compassion. So, yeah. Aw. So I'm pulling some cards for you guys. Okay. I'm pulling some cards for you guys to kind of go along with the meaning, and then I'm going to weave in the astrology into it. Let me just pull another one. Okay, yeah. And I hope that you guys like this style of video. If so, let me know below. Okay, so yeah. All right, you guys. Having your moon in the 8th house, especially a full moon, can be quite emotional. It can bring up a lot of overthinking, of worry, of insecurities, of fear. The 8th house harbors a lot of our fear. So I kind of want to explain this. It takes a little bit of background knowledge, but one of my astrology teachers was explaining the meaning of each of the houses. And there is this kind of contradictory motion called primary and secondary motion of the planets that pulls a planet, like pulls the energy like upwards, but also pulls it down. This is probably not making much sense. Basically, what I want to say is that the 7th house in traditional astrology is about endings, celebrations, resolutions, and death because of that, but it has like a positive connotation. And then like a planet moves into the 8th house, and it's actually being pulled back down to the 7th, but it's very scared and doesn't want to be there. So the 8th house is kind of like this weird like liminal space where you are kind of scared of death. You're scared of the resolution of things. Like you don't know how they're going to end up being. There's a fear there. There's an overthinking. And so having a full moon in the 8th house can illuminate that or bring that to your mindset, especially because I pulled the 9 of Swords, which is basically saying that there is some overthinking, that there is fear here. You can see she has her face in her hands like that. I feel like there's some part of you that doesn't want to like look at possible outcomes. There's a fear there. There's like literally a sadness, a fear, and upset. But I feel like ultimately it's helping you move in a very positive way. Yeah, so first of all, you guys have both Saturn and Jupiter moving through your first house. So there's a lot of restructuring that's been happening. Last year, you guys had those planets, including Pluto, in your 12th house, which could have left you feeling really confused or like you don't have a very clear direction. And there may be certain areas of your life where you really wanted to grasp onto something, but it wasn't as tangible. And now that these planets are moving to the first house, some things are becoming more tangible, but you still have Pluto in the 12th, and it still requires like a deep transformation and self-analysis as Saturn moves through your first house. And what I feel like is coming through really strongly is you having like a lot of self-doubt. Like you are just not believing in yourself and your capabilities of achieving something. Like this girl, if she were applying for a job, would they hire her? Probably not. And the feeling that I get is this full moon is about leaving those things behind. So this could have been the energy that you've previously experienced. You could still experience it a little bit at this full moon, but I'm sensing that that's ending a cycle and beginning a new one. And the new cycle that's beginning is one of confidence, because I pulled the Queen of Wands and the Leo I Will. These are both cards of confidence. These are both cards of asserting yourself, believing in yourself, holding your power, and basically owning exactly who you are and your own creativity. So there's a very strong creative energy coming through both of these cards. So if there is some doubt around creativity or literally having a child, because Leo has a lot to do with having a child, and the Queen of Wands is this like master creator. So she can create a child, she can create life, she can create anything. So if there's something that you're having like worry or insecure or doubt about in regards to that area of your life, I want to say that that's ending, that you're going to be able to move past that. Let me look up what this turtle card represents and read it off to you. These animal cards have been really insightful, and yeah, I'm super curious. Interesting. Okay, turtle. Ancient soul, grounded, trusting, at home in the self. It is wonderful to be in the presence of a turtle personality. Like the beaver, the turtle has a strong relationship with the earth and water elements simultaneously. And in astrology, earth is about working hard towards something, and water is about our emotions, using our intuition to help pursue that work. This helps to ground and connect them to the deeper truths of life. No matter where their travels lead them, turtle energy is behind all great writers and storytellers as they collect life experiences under their shells for later use. The most potent turtle energy helps us close all the other books and begin to tell our own true tale. Yeah, so I feel like, again, this is bringing up writing, creativity. I feel like there's a strong energy here of expressing yourself, because Leo is about creative self-expression. So there is something that is coming through you that wants to express itself creatively, and you guys absolutely have the wisdom to do so. Use your hard work, like actually use the earth element and make a time, make a schedule, say every day I'm going to work on it from this time to this time. But then also use your intuition and your emotions and kind of try to balance that with a sense of flow. So it's going to be important to be tapped into both, like the turtle is, in order for you to overcome the Nine of Swords, which is just kind of senselessly holding you back. And I also pulled the Garden. Something lovely will grow from this. I love this card. It's so pretty. So I think that's really beautiful and really representative of leaving behind some of the insecurities. So whatever doubt this is, whatever insecurity this is, you are actually going to be using that as soil to plant these beautiful new flowers, these beautiful new roses that are going to bud into something creative and wonderful for others to enjoy, something really beautiful for others to enjoy. So using this opportunity not as something to beat yourself up about, not as something to feel bad about, but realizing that we all have self-doubt, we all have insecurities, and this is a perfect opportunity for that to be illuminated, for you to make different decisions and use that to actually be the garden, be the soil to plant something new instead. So it's kind of like the dirt of our life, but we don't have to sit in the dirt. We can still have those insecurities come up and make different decisions and try to choose different thoughts and just use that kind of as the fuel to keep us kind of growing and going. Okay, so you guys also have Saturn moving through your first house, which is making a square to Uranus in the fourth. So as I mentioned, it's a lot about like self-adjustment. So I feel like a lot of this reading is about just you and your internal world. The first house and the fourth house are both very, very internal energies. Uranus is really about internalized things that come from the past, that come from our family, that come from our childhood. And so I feel like there needs to be an examination of those things in order to like fully understand yourself and step more into into a leadership position in your own life, because Saturn the first is giving you that opportunity to step up and kind of putting pressure on you in a way to step up further into your life as a leader and start to create the things that you really want to see in the world. But you have to let go of any kind of like old limiting beliefs that come from the past or from your childhood that have been wrongly inherited from your family. You guys also have Chiron moving through the third house. So I feel like as you guys begin to open up your throat chakra and begin to write and to express yourself or to journal or any of this, as you do that, you're going to start to heal these certain aspects of yourselves. Yeah, I see that as being super positive. So if you haven't taken up writing, I would really suggest doing so, at least for this full moon. You can journal about it. And you know, I have my journal, which I haven't even mentioned before, but I have a journal that is super helpful for creating new habits. And I also have a section for each of the new and the full moons for all of 2021. So if you're interested in that, I will link it down below. There are journaling prompts for all of the moons. And so it's going to be really helpful for you guys to do one of those or to do it just on your own, like freestyle. Any way of expressing yourself is going to be really important right now. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. If so, please like or comment down below. And if you guys would like a personal reading, you can buy one from willowsbloom.com. Bye. All right, and last but certainly not least is Pisces Rising. So for you guys, this full moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships. The 7th house is a positive house in astrology. It's one of endings, of celebrations, of culmination. And I see this being a really beautiful time for you guys, but let's see what the cards have to say. I'm going to be pulling some cards and mixing it with the astrology, so I hope that you guys like that style. The horse. Ooh, that is very cool. It's a very beautiful card. Bitch, fire. Stand up for yourself. Okay. Well, that is interesting. Because I pulled some swords and I kind of getting the feeling of, yeah, you standing up for yourself. Aries, I am. Okay. All right, Pisces Rising. So my initial, like, just looking at the astrology, I'm like, oh, yes, I'm going to have some, like, great, I don't know, celebrations. But you know what? I'm actually seeing this now that I've pulled these cards as you having realizations about what, like, standing your ground in relationships. So I feel like the resolution or culmination that typically comes from the 7th house is needing to take place in your relationships. So it's basically saying that the resolution is not maybe having a wedding, but the resolution is you standing your ground within your relationships and resolving any boundary issues. With Pisces Rising, you guys definitely tend to have boundary issues. You kind of take on energy from the people around you, and it's time to start protecting that inner light. So that's what I'm saying for you guys. Bye. I'm just kidding. Let's go ahead and look at what this horse card says before I get into the rest of the reading, because I'm really curious about that. And it's beautiful because the horse has this crescent moon on its forehead, which to me is your link to your intuition, which Pisces, you guys are super, super intuitive. And so I feel like this is going to be very important for you to lead with your soft, intuitive side, but yet combine it with the strong Aries side of things. So let me just read to you what this says. Momentum, freedom, expansive energy, and force. The horse represents the most masterful form of earth energy within the deck. It provides us with momentum so reliable, so supportive, that you can ride on its back toward any goal, no matter how difficult the terrain. A horse personality is full of awakened, fully alive, and cannot be defeated. The horse's freedom becomes available to us when we hone and collect our energy through daily practice. Physical stamina and mental focus are the secret weapons behind the horse's legacy. Okay, you guys. Wow, this really goes in line with all of the energy. You guys are actually having some pretty intense energy coming through. That's why I mentioned physical stamina, because Aries is very physical. Aries is not afraid to stand in its power, to ask for exactly what it wants, to be a little selfish, honestly. And as the sign before Aries, Pisces, you guys have some overlap, but a lot of dissimilar traits. So Pisces tends to be very concerned with being very compassionate, being very understanding, not very forceful. They're very soft. They have this very intuitive side. And you're absolutely supposed to keep doing that. Like, use your intuition, use that intuition and spirituality that comes from meditation. But we're also still a horse here. So we're flying through. You are stable, you are strong, you are asking for freedom in some sense. So I feel like this card, to stand up for yourself, and the freedom that comes in through the horse card, is basically saying that you are meant right now to ask for what you desire and to hold your ground no matter what. So if there is something coming through in relationships where other people are testing you, now is a time to set your boundaries, because this is a time to end cycles and start a new one. You don't want to carry this shit over into the next cycle. You deserve to have your boundaries respected. And I think that's why I pulled the Seven of Swords. That's you walking away with all these swords being like, hell yeah, I just won that fight. I basically, I stood up for myself and I got what I wanted out of it. And so I feel like this is your chance to kind of be like a little bit cutthroat and just say things exactly like they are, because I think that some people are going to come in some respects and test you. This is your time to stand up for yourself and your own freedom and not be bound or somehow constricted by other people. It's not the time for you. You also got the Knight of Wands. So I feel like once you do that, once you walk away from this fight, once you've spoken your truth, you're going to turn into this Nine of Wands. You're going to be riding your horse away. You're going to be super passionate. You're going to be moving forward on your ideas, and things are going to start flowing and coming to you guys. It's going to be really passionate and it's going to feel really good, but you have to have those boundaries and that strong sense of self in order to do that at first. You guys also have Saturn moving through your 12th house, and it's making a square to Uranus in the 3rd house. Yes, so Uranus in the 3rd house is saying communicate. And you know what Saturn in the 12th is saying? This is saying that this is a karmic occurrence that is coming from your past lives that you are trying to dispel now. And the only way to dispel these karmic experiences that you're having with this other person or with many other people is by communicating your truth about it, by saying exactly how you think and how you feel and not holding back, speaking your mind. That's the only way to break this karmic pattern. You guys also have Chiron in the 2nd house. So there is some healing around self-worth. A lot of our boundaries come from the 2nd house. So there needs to be healing around your own self-image and your own self-worth in order for these boundaries to really be in place. And so kind of starting to look into maybe these unconscious patterns or things from past lives and things like that I kind of talked about at the intro. That is what is going to help you. Like, the more that you're doing your meditation, the more that you're journaling about how wonderful you are, connecting to source, looking into your past life patterns, the more that you're doing those things, the more that you're going to heal this Chiron in the 2nd house, which is going to help you solidify those boundaries. So I think that's really where the intuitive side of things comes in, because Saturn in the 12th is asking for a little bit more dedication and persistence when it comes to your spiritual practice. So if you've been falling off the bandwagon, get back on the bandwagon. That's going to be really helpful in solidifying your boundaries so that you are able to actually go out and have this more Aries energy, which is so different from yourself, and take what you want, have your independence, have your freedom, do what makes you happy. So I don't know, this could possibly be like an energy of a breakup. The only reason I say that is because Aries is the opposite sign of Libra or the 7th house, which is about the self and not about the other. And the horse is about having a sense of freedom. So I'm seeing a lot of like freedom themes coming up. So that could literally mean like leaving a relationship, but for a lot of you guys, it won't be leaving it, it will be transforming it, because you can have that sense of freedom within a stable relationship if you have the correct boundaries. So I really hope that this resonates with you guys. If so, please leave a like or comment down below. And as always, if you want to buy a reading from me, you can do so at willowsbloom.com. And I hope you guys have a really, really beautiful day and enjoy this full moon. Bye.